Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zahab. We are buzzing as always, and I'm super pumped to have today's guest on the show. Pratik Gauri, founder and CEO of Fire, one of the world's fastest growing unicorns that achieved the coveted $1 billion valuation in less than 1 year from the day it was founded. Pratik conceptualized the term Fifth Industrial Revolution as a founding principle for shaping a for-purpose world that combines sustainability, innovation, and business viability. He and Fire have been recognized for their impact by some organizations. You may have heard of them before, like the World Economic Forum, Entrepreneur Magazine, Economic Times, Forbes, NASDAQ, TED, and I'm just naming a couple of them. He has also been recognized by Economic Times Global Indian Leaders. He has been listed as one of the 5 top 10 blockchain personalities to follow, has spoken in 25 countries, TEDx, you name it. If I read the whole bio, it would take up the whole podcast. He's done a whole lot at a young age, but we don't got time for that. Let's jump into it. Pratik, welcome to the show, my friend. Pumped to have you on. How you doing this lovely evening?
Thanks, Matt, for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you. Pumped. In Dubai right now, the weather is getting better. So yeah, amazing.
I love it. It is true in Dubai in the summer that everyone just works during the day, and then at night you guys will go to the beach, eh? Is that true?
Yeah, that's so true because in the summers, it's, right now, I mean, it's super humid, right? So April to September is pretty humid. You don't want to go out in the sun, and you just want to keep at home, do all your work, and in the night it gets better. So at night you can go to a beach or just chill, in some mall, etc. That's what people do. But in the winters, that's the time.
It's paradise, man.
It's paradise. You want to be out all day. So yeah.
One of the best places on the planet. I love that. Look, before we jump into Fire and how, you guys are just absolutely moving and grooving in everything sustainability related and minimizing carbon footprint and enhancing DeFi across the world. And I can't wait to get into all that stuff. Set the table for us, set the stage for us. Tell the listeners and myself a little bit about yourself, your childhood, growing up in India. You've traveled all over the world, spent time in the States, obviously what you did on a professional scale before moving into crypto. And then we'll get into crypto, Fire, and all the fun stuff.
Yeah, so my background, came from a lower middle class family, humble beginnings in India. Started my first company out of compulsion, not out of choice, because I knew I'm never gonna get a job at 16. So let's start a company and see how it goes. So wanted to kind of do something cool. Entrepreneurship back then in India wasn't so easy because it wasn't easy to raise money. It wasn't easy to start something when you're not coming from a business background. So I identified my niche in this space called the Fifth Industrial Revolution, which I've been kind of trying to champion for the last 15 years now, where I wanted to prove that you can actually make money while you do good. And actually, the more good you do, the more money you make. So ideally working at the intersection of profit and purpose, or you might call impact and money. So how do you combine both of those? And so in a easy way, how can a juice brand be more profitable than say a cola brand? How can an electric vehicle brand be more profitable than a diesel company? So now, of course, we know Teslas of the world, and now they're massive, right? But 15 years back, they weren't that big and nobody was talking about them. That's when I started talking about them. Built my first company in EdTech, sold it when I was 20, got my first sweet exit in India. And immediately after that, started traveling the world. Of course, did my studies from in different schools, but I started traveling the world. Spent a very, very long time in the States, so I built 8 companies before Fire. The first one was an ed tech company, and all the other 7 were in the space of what I call the Fifth Industrial Revolution. The company before this was a company called Fifth Element Group, which was a unique marketing consulting company where we were taking money from CSR budgets and giving a return on the marketing budget, which nobody's done before. So it's kind of crazy.
Whoa. Explain that for me. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it was crazy. So what we used to do was by the way, the company is still running. I took an exit, but the company is still running. And what we used to do was we used to take money from the CSR budget, which, anyways, the brands need to spend 2% on corporate social
Yeah.
responsibility. I'm talking about Fortune 500 brands. So I'm talking about the likes of Starbucks, Unilever, Procter, IBM, Microsoft, etc. All our clients were Fortune 500 companies. So we're working with Reckitt Benckiser, we're working with Starbucks, and all
Wow.
those brands. We're working with the Coca-Cola company. So all these companies, they are mandated to spend 2% of the profits onto something which contributes to social impact. So what unique model we had was we used to take money from the CSR budget and used to give a return to the CMO on the marketing budget, which nobody's ever done before. So if, for instance,
Wow.
there was a big campaign called Harpik Mission Pani, which is, so Pani is an Indian word for water. So what we did is we took money from the CSR budget and we ended up building toilets in India. That's a model which nobody's ever done before. And when you build toilets, of course, it gives you brand visibility. It increases your sales. It increases, Tom, which you call top of mind recall in marketing jargon. So all of that. So I did. I built that company for 3 years. Took an exit. That was my just last one, and then I started Fire. Which was my entry into cryptocurrency and the blockchain space or the Web3 space, because so my concept was the fifth industrial revolution, build 8 companies, all, and the end goal was to impact 1 billion people. So I was motivated by how can you impact 1 billion people, but not through philanthropy, because I wasn't rich, so I can't do philanthropy, and I don't even believe in that concept. I believe in the concept of how do you empower people so that they make more money what they're currently making, and that
Yes. Yes.
sustainable. So that's like a flying wheel, it keeps rotating, so you don't have to push money again and again. Like, you empower 1 million entrepreneurs, they're doing very well, they will empower 10 million entrepreneurs, then they will empower 100 million entrepreneurs, and that's how you impact 6 billion, 6.5 billion people on the planet. So that was my goal. With that vision, built 8 companies, and then I figured out that this whole concept can be expedited, or the progress that I've been currently doing can be scaled massively in a very short period of time if I integrate blockchain and crypto into it, because it just gives power back to the community. It's kind of decentralized. It's easy to make a lower middle class, become, say, a middle class or an upper middle class through crypto. It's the easiest. So that's when I thought that this is the tool for financial inclusion. This is where the banking is going to go. This is where the data storage is going to go. All of that started striking me. I was like, let's start a company in the crypto space. But before that, I've obviously dabbled into some cryptocurrencies and invested into them, lost money on some, made a lot of money on some, and realized that this is here to stay. So I'm talking 2017 to 2020. I was just investing passively, but I figured out. So I saw a little bit of the 2017 cycle, and then I, of course, saw the whole 2020 2021 bull market, and in that bull market was when Fire started, because we started in the middle of 2021. And we had a vision. Again, fifth industrial revolution. So Fire, again, is 5 IREs, the fifth industrial revolution. So you spell fire, but it's 5 IRE, right?
Yeah.
So you pronounce it fire, though. But so fifth industrial revolution, how can you make more money while you do more good? So what we thought, we're gonna invent something which has never been done before. We created something called a sustainable proof of stake model. Where we have embedded sustainability into the layer one infrastructure itself. So the consensus mechanism is a little different from the traditional proof of stake model or proof of work model, which is very energy intensive, of course. So we decided we're going to build this whole sustainable proof of stake model. But as you know, blockchain isn't cheap. It's super expensive. You have to hire a lot of technical engineers. It's not an easy job, basically, and specifically building in the bear market, it's very tough. So we raised our first round of 22 million in the bull market. So we were able to get that in just a month. So I think we were lucky. The idea resonated with a lot of early investors, all crypto investors, all small venture capital funds, everybody. So we had about 250 investors putting in about on an average $100,000 to $200,000 each. We hit our goal of 22 million, and then we started building the technology. Fast forward because, of course, then we got an investor on the equity side who wanted to invest 100 million on a 1.5 bill valuation, which gave us the unicorn status. But then we returned that money because we realized we don't need so much money actually, because when we list the token, we actually are going to make money, and then we're going to get gas fee once our mainnet goes live. But yeah, long story short. We 3 years down the line, after we started the company in 2023, actually, sorry, 2 years, we decided we're going to list the token. Now, we decided to do our IEO on Bybit in December of 2023. So 5th of December is when we did the IEO on Bybit. And then, after like about 15, 20 days, 25 days, we did some more listings on Gate, MXC, BingX, etc. We're going to do some more listings now in this bull market. And mainnet, well, it took us about 3 years to deliver the mainnet. We thought we were going to do it in 1 year. Actually, we were foolish. We were not able to do it in 1 year. It's not that easy. But of course, coming from a non-crypto background, before this is the first company for me and my other partner in the Web3 space. So we thought we're going to do it in 1 year, but then it took us 3 years. And then getting all the adoption in place. So we've done partnerships with the Indian government. We did one partnership with the state government in the United States. So we did a lot of stuff. With the institutional adoption as well on that side, and then on the retail side, we have about 500,000 wallets now. We have
Jeez,
about
you guys are moving and grooving. Holy, sorry, keep going there.
Yeah, about 5 million, I think more than 5 million transactions already. And we did testnet. I mean, our testnet to mainnet, we took our own sweet time of about 6 to 8 months to go from testnet to mainnet. We wanted to see everything's fine, it's secure. So yeah, and a lot of dApps are now building on Fire. A lot of dApps actually. We have, I think, more than 200 dApps which are already going to be building on Fire, because we just released our mainnet about a couple of months back. So I think the journey has just begun for us because their token's now listed. And the mainnet is live, and now it's all about adoption. And hopefully in this market, when we get more adoption globally, and when the whole crypto market goes from say 2.5, 3 trillion to say 5 or 6 trillion, whatever it is, we will get good liquidity for dApps to build on us, which will give us good TVL, etc. And the end goal is still the same, right? It's to impact 1 billion people. It's to prove the message at a fairly larger scale this time, that you can actually make money while you do good. So you don't, even if you have something which is built on sustainability around environment, friendly stuff, you can still make money. So that's the whole thesis, mission, vision. We have a large team now. In fact, at one point in time, we were a team of 140, 150. We trimmed it down to less than 50 now. Short, sweet, beautiful team now, which is 80% tech and about some in marketing, and then other HR, finance, etc. Yeah, and we're sustainable now, so we don't need to raise any more money because the token's listed, and once now the mainnet's live, so it's looking good. Because one big problem that I saw in a lot of crypto startups is you keep running out of funding, and then you have to shut shop. In fact, a lot of the friends I know, unfortunately, they had to shut down their companies, and they raised more than 5 million, 10 million, 15 million. They started their companies because they did not find a good revenue source in a couple of years. So I think as a crypto entrepreneur, coming from a Web2 tech background, I think the biggest takeaway from running Fire for me has been like, the moment you start your company, you should know where you're going to make the money from for the company. If you don't know that, you're not going to survive long, because the bear market, it's very hard. The funding completely dries. There are no developers. Nobody wants to build. It's just people just go away on vacations, right? And you're just building, right? So it's not an easy job. No VC would entertain you in winters. But then, yeah, that's the time you really, make it. Like, that's the time when you either make it or break it. So you either shut down or you become massive, right? So we survived the bear market. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways, and very, very happy that we finally launched the mainnet. Took us 3 years and a lot of money, but yeah, things are good now.
Congrats, man. What an epic spiel to start the pod. Wow. And holy crap, I can take this in 100 different angles. One thing you said, Pratik, where you and I are in the exact same yacht, which I absolutely love, is the whole like doing change for the world and trying to better the world. I don't want to say I'm anti-philanthropy, but I do think most people, when someone says, oh, I want to change the world, it's like, okay, if you want to go to protest X, Y, or Z and help cause ABC, you're really not going to do shit. Like you standing there with a sign and chanting and blah, blah, blah. Great. It makes you feel good. But like, let's call a spade a spade. You ain't doing anything. How can you do something? Take a page out of the Pratik playbook, work your ass off, start a startup, make some cake, and then you can really donate some money. You can really help that cause. And I love that your whole sort of ethos is about combining, combining profit and purpose. I absolutely love that. But one thing I want to go back to, sort of the bread and butter of the show here is, and this is another thing you talked about, of course, just how, the crypto market currently sitting at a couple trillion can easily go to 5-6 trillion, especially with all the companies in the ESG space, all the Fortune 500 companies who have to, not have to, but will eventually move a lot of their infrastructure and tech over to the blockchain. They want to choose one, an L1, and two, an L1 that is eco-friendly, an L1 that, actually gives carbon credits, that reduces the carbon footprint, that has a sustainable proof of stake model, and you guys are doing this. I'd love if you could talk a little bit more about how you guys are, moving a groove and helping the environment, and more specifically on the sustainable proof of stake model, because I absolutely love this and would love to learn more about this.
Yeah, so the way it works is basically a nominated proof of stake, which so it's an NPOS model, and on that there's an ESG layer which is stacked on top. So we give weightage to both, right? So if you have good stake in the system as a validator, you definitely are rewarded for that. So it's not like if you have stake. So it's basically a weighted average of both your ESG score and your NPOS. And your ESG score basically takes into account about more than 600,000, different data points. It integrates all of that and then gives you a final score, right? So our ESG score is something which is unique. In fact, one big revenue model for us is also ESG as a service, which has already been working well with institutional clients and some Fortune 500 companies here in the UAE and other countries. So that ESG model or that ESG capsule is integrated into an NPOS model, which gives you the sustainable proof of stake. So if you are, say, using geothermal, or I'm using carbon, okay, so let's put this example, or you're using, say, an electric vehicle and I'm using a diesel one. Now if both of us are validators in the FIRE ecosystem, you will get more rewards, you get more points. So when you get more points, there are higher chances that you will end up validating the block, and when you end up validating the block, you end up making more money, right? So in a way, we are incentivizing sustainable practices from the core of the blockchain. So you would not get to know, but if you're sustainable, you end up making more money in the whole ecosystem of FIRE, versus if you're in some other ecosystem. Of course, if you're using proof of work, which Bitcoin does, of course, it's very energy intensive. And proof of stake, I think the biggest problem that I saw in proof of stake is, if you are rich, then you keep getting richer. And if I'm poor, I keep going poorer. It's very hard to bridge that gap because, you will end up staking more than me, of course, if you're more rich than me. And then you end up validating the block. So that's what's happening. So we kind of wanted to tweak that model a little bit. That's why we came up with sustainable proof of stake, gave an element to sustainable behavior. And now that weighted average kind of helps in incentivizing sustainable behavior from bottoms up. So that's how the blockchain is built. Biggest, in fact, our grant program, which is a big grant program now. We just released a $10 million grant program, which is almost deployed. We're going to release another grant program of 25 mil now. And these grants we're giving to specifically, say, green finance companies or companies which are AI companies, but AI companies which are making the job easier, for people who don't understand crypto, want to get into crypto. So even if you have a bot and you say that, how to write a smart contract, it'll tell you how to write a smart contract. So those kind of startups are kind of funding now. So our biggest piece, which I think is going to, and by the way, that's going to be the driver of the bull run this season. I think is going to be AI and RWA, and deep into a bit, but AI RWA, I'm very bullish because I think that crypto has existed for a long while enough, and I think it's time that we integrate the real world assets. So whether it's real estate tokenization, whether it's, I think you mentioned about carbon. So I think whether it's
Yep.
carbon credit tokenization, or it's about how do you get whether it's diamonds, or so like the now lab grown diamonds has become such a huge industry now. So I think that's something that could be a big use case, and we are actually funding one startup which is working around that thesis. So those are the unique pieces that we are doing in Fire, which are kind of incentivizing sustainable behavior from the bottom. And you as a layman would not even get to know. You'll get to know pretty late, like after the whole model is kind of worked, and
100%.
yeah, but that's what the whole model works on, right? So you keep incentivizing sustainable behavior to a point that everybody who's sustainable is making more money in the system. Period. So that's how the model works.
Well said. Pratik, you want to roll, my friend? We do need to take a quick break. You can give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the show. When we get back, we're going to keep buzzing on the role of AI and data, some innovations and future projects of Fire, and some other fun stuff. Until then, huge shout out to Prime XBT, longtime friends and sponsors of the Crypto News podcast. We love Prime XBT as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News pod. Use the promo code CryptoNews50. That is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. And now back to the show with Pratik. So, mate, you are big on AI, as am I, as are most people, I assume, as it's just so powerful, makes our daily lives and workflows a million times more efficient. How are you guys integrating AI into your own L1 blockchain? And what sort of opportunities does this create for not only your developers and your team and the ecosystem, but your customers and clients as well?
Yeah, so one small use case I just mentioned, right? So if you don't know how to write a smart code, like that's where the AI comes in and helps you write a smart code. So even with our ESG calculation, right? When we calculate the score, it's all artificial intelligence, the way the score is calculated, because you're a company, say you're Tesla and I'm Hyundai, right? And we are two nominators, or we're two validators trying to fight for a spot in the ecosystem, and we're trying to validate blocks here, right? So the AI algorithm actually decides on how you are more sustainable than I am. It's not like, so it's all about data, right? It's all about a lot of data. So there are about so many data points that kind of go into the algorithm, and then the final score comes out, which is a score out of 10. So this is one small piece here, but as I mentioned, right? So a lot of the startups now which are building on us, which are DApps, most of them, if they have an element of AI, if they're integrating artificial intelligence on the data piece, or the way they're getting the output on the data, or where the data is getting inputted into them, or they're making lives of users simpler, simply by using AI. So they are just helping them learn more about blockchain, or it's just about blockchain education. I think I mentioned we are partners to the Indian government. We have a curriculum which we teach kids, and I'm talking about government school kids in India. We have tie up with more than now 10,000 schools in India, which is going to reach more than 10 million kids, by the way. So this is, we're teaching, our curriculum mentions clearly that it has a separate module on AI. So this is something that we are kind of very bullish on. And then we know that now any coder, right? It's the world for no code smart contracts. You don't need coding to actually be launching a tech startup. That's where the world is going.
Yeah.
That's where the world is going. So, and we have a dual chain architecture, right? So Substrate, we built on Substrate, of course, but we are EVM compatible. So, that is how we are. And then we have I told you about the grant program. So we had a 10 million grant program. Now we are increasing it to 25 mil, and about say 30-35%, we're reserving it for AI projects. That's how bullish we are
Wow.
on AI. So yeah, so that's something that we are currently doing in-house in Fire.
I love that. Look, we've talked a lot about the good. I don't mean to be a negative Nancy, but I do want to talk about some of the challenges of growing Fire, especially in growing a sustainability sort of focused and a profit and purpose focused L1. Building an L2, building an L3, a hell of a lot easier than building an L1. Sort of just plug and play, move some things around, and boom, you're off to the races. More of the short-term gain for long-term pain versus whereas you guys are going with the short-term pain, long-term gain. You told me, I believe you said it took 8 months to fix some bugs and to get the mainnet locked and loaded. Mainnet came out last month, I believe. Again, huge congrats on that. Just for any of maybe potential founders or people listening who do want to start a blockchain, more specifically in L1, I'd love if you could tell us about some of the challenges and tribulations that you and the team went through in regards to actually creating this bad boy and getting it launched and ready to go.
I think the first thing is, if anybody wants to start or build a layer one blockchain, I want to tell them that it's way tougher than you think. So it's way tougher. It's not going to be an easy journey. It looks rosy. You see all the layer ones, and when you see their tokens and you suddenly see, wow, they're doing well and all of this. I mean, look, this is all good. It's just the outside, right? But what goes inside is something completely different. It's not easy. We had to scrape our mainnet, or we have to scrape our blockchain 2 times before the final version came out, and we were happy with it. So it's not easy. I think the toughest part in building a blockchain, what I witnessed, was finding talent. I mean, it's not easy to find good talent.
Yeah.
I mean, we built on Substrate, but it's not easy to find good engineers because I mean, it's not. I mean, I've built Web2 tech companies before, so it's not like you do a campus drive at a Stanford or a Harvard or a Wharton and then get the best kids, and then you hire the best people, you raise the money, you give them the money, and the tech is built. No, it's not going to happen like this. There's nothing like Harvard or Stanford or Wharton or Ivy League schools in crypto. It doesn't exist because there's no school which teaches crypto. So most of the actually engineers are kids. They're in their 20s. They have their own tantrums. If you don't pay them well, they'll leave you. And more importantly, if you don't give them respect, they'll leave you because they have so many jobs, right? Which are easy
highly
to find.
valued, tons of leverage. If you're a good blockchain dev, you have infinite leverage.
Yeah, so it's not easy to retain talent. It's not easy to hire talent. I think that's the biggest thing, the problem that we faced, but we of course managed around it. And now as I mentioned, we have a very short, sweet, beautiful team, which is stuck with us all 3 years. So some of the people who joined us 3 years back, they're with us, about 30 of them. So a lot of people came left, but 30 of them stuck with us. So that's the backbone of Fire, and that's the backbone of any company that you're building. So I think that's one important piece to note. I think the second is, as I mentioned, if you don't figure out a revenue model super quick, you're going to run out of cash very, very quickly.
Well said.
And in blockchain, it's super expensive. You will not know you're burning $1 million a month, even if you raise 20 million. It's 20 months, it's gone. And by in 20 months, you wouldn't have achieved what you wanted to achieve. You would have been nowhere close. So all of these things, we witnessed it. So, so it's not easy. And then you need to raise more money. And suddenly you find that no, nobody wants to give you more money because they think you've already raised so much money. So these things happen in the journey. You need to know the moment you start the company, how are you going to sustain the company? How are you going to get revenue in the company? How are you going to make money? For us, it was ESG as a service, honestly. That's a separate module which gives us good revenue where we sell ESG, simple. So this and that fuels our blockchain. That fueled our blockchain for a very long while until we are able to make money from the blockchain itself, whether it's gas fee or whether it's token liquidations, etc. Right? So this is how the whole model works. So challenges, I think, are crazy. You would go 3 years of bear market where you will not find easy money. You will not find good developers in those 3 years. You will not find good partnerships in those 3 years. Nobody's talking about crypto. Nobody wants to get associated with crypto. So, so there's, I think, surviving the bear market, finding good talent, assembling a good team. I think those are the 3, and finding the right set of investors. I think those are the 4 biggest challenges that you would face.
Well said. Pratik, you're on a roll here, my friend, but you are getting a little tight for time. One last question and we will wrap up. What is next for Fire? Again, you guys are moving and grooving at such a vicious pace here. Next couple of weeks, months, years. What's on the agenda for FIRE that the listeners, the community, and the users have to look forward to?
So, as I mentioned, the tokens listed on 4 exchanges. We're going to be listing on some more exchanges in the next few months. I think that's one. The second is we are working very hard on adoption and getting good projects. Biggest focus is our AI and RWA. So, if you have any projects on those, if you want a grant, please hit us or please email us. I'm at pratik@fire.org, but I'm very active on Instagram and LinkedIn, or the whole team. You can reach out to anybody. So those are the two big narratives that we have that we want to promote. And then the third biggest thing is we have a native DEX now coming live. We've been building it for a long while now, and we're launching it very soon. So we'll have our own native DEX. And then a bunch of, the cool part, the funny part is we might be also launching a funny meme launchpad of our own. That kind of just gives cool. It adds to your coolness quotient actually of a blockchain. Solana did very well actually with that. But yeah, so a lot of exciting things to come up. And if you stay, if you just follow us on Twitter, you will get most of the updates.
Man, what a good point to conclude. I am so big on cool. Cool is one of the most underrated aspects of all of business. You look at Facebook. Why did everyone get on Facebook in 2008, 9, 10? Because it was cool. If you weren't on it, you were FOMO city, population you. Then Instagram. Look at Pump.fun and all the Solana shitters. It was cool. It was fun. A lot of crypto, it's B2B tech. Is it powerful? Yes. Is it useful? Yes. But it ain't cool. And if it ain't cool, people don't give a shit. You got to do cool things in this space, Sometimes I find we're way too serious, and I love that point you brought up about the coolness. Well done, mate.
Thanks, bro. Thanks,
massive.
Brother.
Hey, last thing, before you let us go, where can our listeners find you personally? Drop your handles, Insta, LinkedIn, Twitter, and of course, FIRE online and on socials.
Yeah, so I think if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on Instagram. Those are the two we're very active on. So you can obviously hit me up or DM me anywhere, or you can obviously email me at pratik@5irefire.org. That's where I'm available, but I'm very accessible actually because I'm very active on social. So yeah, hit me up anytime. Also, as I mentioned, we're going to be coming up with a big grant program. So if you're building something cool and you want to raise some money, we'll be happy to provide funding. We'll be happy to provide you all the support that you need for all the listeners out there. So yeah, reach out to us.
Amazing. Folks, what an episode with Pratik Gauri, CEO of FIRE. We touched everything environmentally responsible blockchains, enhancing accessibility in DeFi, combining profit and purpose, which I absolutely love, trust, security. Of course, Pratik's coin, the absolute gold coin he did, the fifth industrial revolution, the sustainable proof of stake model, ESG layers being built onto the blockchain, and some fun stuff with RWAs and AI. Huge shout out to Pratik and the team for making this happen. If you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you did, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, love you guys. Thank you for everything. Eustace, you are the man as always. And back to the listeners, keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.